Welcome to our channel. Today, we pause to remember a life that touched hearts and left a lasting impact. We'll explore their journey, the challenges they faced, and the moments that made them unforgettable. Join us as we honor their story, celebrate their legacy, and reflect on the memories that will continue to inspire and live on in the hearts of those who knew them. The news was confirmed without fanfare, shared quietly among music circles and longtime collaborators. Bryan Loren Hudson, known to many as the Wiz, had passed away. For fans, the name might not have always been front and center. But the sound he helped create was deeply familiar. Bryan Loren Hudson was a songwriter, producer, and creative force who worked mostly behind the scenes. His music traveled far, even when his name stayed in the background. For decades, his work shaped pop and R&B in ways listeners often felt before they fully realized it. He began his career at a young age, drawn to melody and rhythm early on. In the 1980s, Bryan released solo singles like Lollipop Love and Do You Really Love Me? The songs found space on the R&B charts and introduced his smooth, playful style. But it was behind the studio walls where Bryan truly thrived. He became known for his creative instincts and his ability to shape sound without overpowering it. He understood balance. He knew when to lead and when to step back. One of his most widely known works came in 1990. Bryan helped write and produce Do the Bartman, a song tied to The Simpsons that became a surprise global hit. The track reached audiences far beyond traditional music spaces and showed his range as a producer. As his reputation grew, so did his list of collaborators. Bryan worked with artists such as Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Sting, and Eric Benet. Each project carried his quiet touch. Clean production, strong rhythm, and respect for the artist's voice. Those who worked with him describe a calm presence in the studio. He did not chase trends. He focused on sound that lasted. A fellow producer once shared, Bryan listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, it mattered. He was known for his generosity with younger artists. Bryan offered guidance without ego. He believed music was a shared effort, not a competition. Many credit him with helping them find confidence early in their careers. As the music industry changed, Bryan adapted without losing his core values. He stayed focused on craft, on quality, on creating something honest. Fame was never his goal. Music was. Following news of his passing, tributes began to appear online. Artists, producers, and fans shared memories. One post read, "He helped shape the soundtrack of my youth, even if I didn't know his name at the time." Another said, "The Wiz made magic quietly." Family members released a brief message asking for privacy and thanking supporters for their kind words. Bryan lived for music, the statement read. He gave his heart to every note. Though his name may not always have been in the spotlight, his influence remains strong. His work lives on through songs still played, sampled, and remembered. His sound continues to travel through speakers, headphones, and shared memories. Bryan Loren Hudson believed that music did not need attention to have impact. It only needed honesty. That belief guided his life and career. He created space for others to shine while shaping the sound from behind. Today, the industry pauses to remember a man whose work crossed generations. A creator who helped define moments without asking for credit. Bryan Loren Hudson leaves behind a legacy of quiet excellence. His music remains. His influence continues. And in every familiar beat and smooth melody, his presence can still be felt. The Wiz may have worked behind the spotlight, but his sound will never fade. The news was confirmed quietly, without ceremony. Andrew Jarvis, a man whose life was shaped by words spoken on stage, had passed away. There were no flashing lights or sudden headlines. Just a soft pause felt across theaters, classrooms, and rehearsal rooms where his voice once lived. Andrew Jarvis was never drawn to fame. He was drawn to language. From an early age, he showed a deep respect for classical text, especially the works of William Shakespeare. To him, every line mattered. Every pause carried meaning. And every performance was an act of care. His career unfolded slowly and steadily. Andrew spent decades on the stage, most notably with the Royal Shakespeare Company. He played kings and common men, heroes and quiet thinkers. His performances were never loud. They were controlled, thoughtful, and deeply human. Those who watched him perform often spoke of his clarity. He did not rush the words. He allowed them to breathe. Audiences leaned in, not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it. His strength was in restraint. Off stage, Andrew was a student of the craft. He believed theater was not just performance, but responsibility. He studied language, history, and rhythm. He mentored younger actors, reminding them that understanding the text mattered as much as emotion. A former student once shared, "Andrew taught us that Shakespeare is not meant to be shown off. It's meant to be understood." The lesson stayed with many long after they left the classroom. Andrew was also known for his humility. Despite years of experience, he never spoke as if he had finished learning. He listened closely. He corrected gently. And he treated the stage as a shared space, not a spotlight. Colleagues remember his discipline. Rehearsals were taken seriously. Preparation was expected. But there was warmth too. A quiet smile after a strong scene. A nod of approval instead of applause. For Andrew, respect was shown through effort. As the years passed, his presence became a constant. Generations of actors passed through companies where Andrew worked. Some moved on to fame. Others stayed in theater. Many carried his influence without even realizing it. One fellow actor wrote after his passing, "He reminded us that greatness can be quiet. That staying true to the work matters more than being seen." The words reflected the way Andrew lived his life. Though he avoided attention, news of his death brought reflection. Tributes appeared from theaters, scholars, and former students. They spoke of his patience, his integrity, his belief that theater could still teach something meaningful in a noisy world. Andrew Jarvis believed that words could shape understanding. That when spoken with care, they could still reach people across time. He trusted the power of tradition, not as something frozen, but as something alive. In later years, he focused more on teaching and scholarship. Passing on knowledge became his final role. He saw it as a duty, not a retirement. The stage may have grown quieter, but his influence only widened. A family member shared in a brief statement, "Andrew lived his values. He believed in honesty, discipline, and kindness. He gave those freely." It was a simple message, fitting for a simple life lived with purpose. Today, the curtain has closed on Andrew Jarvis's final act. But his voice remains, carried through the lines he taught others to speak with care. In rehearsal rooms where patience is practiced. In performances shaped by respect for language. He will be remembered as a guardian of the spoken word. A man who believed that mastery does not need to shout to be heard. And in every careful pause, every thoughtful verse, his legacy quietly endures. The confirmation came during a quiet broadcast day. Julio Rafael Pineda, a familiar and trusted voice in Spanish-language news, had passed away. For many families, the moment felt personal. The television sets that once carried his calm tone now reflected a sudden absence. For more than 4 decades, Julio Rafael Pineda delivered the news with steady care. As an anchor at WXTV in New York, he became a nightly presence in homes across the region. His voice did more than report events. It guided, explained, and reassured. Pineda understood his audience deeply. Many were immigrants. Many were working long hours, raising families, and trying to understand a fast-moving world. When Julio spoke, people listened. He spoke clearly. He spoke calmly. And he spoke with respect. His career began at a time when Spanish-language media was still finding its place. Julio helped shape it. He believed news should inform without fear and explain without judgment. That belief stayed with him throughout his career. On screen, his presence was composed. His delivery was measured. He did not rush through difficult stories. He gave weight to serious moments and care to human ones. Viewers trusted him because he never spoke down to them. Behind the scenes, colleagues describe him as thoughtful and disciplined. Preparation mattered to him. Accuracy mattered even more. A producer once said, Julio never forgot who he was speaking to. He always remembered the family at the dinner table. Over the years, Pineda covered historic events. Elections. Crises. Moments of celebration and loss. Through it all, his tone remained steady. In uncertain times, his voice became a kind of anchor itself. Viewers often said he felt like family. One longtime watcher shared online, "I learned this country through his words. He helped me understand where I lived." Another wrote, "When things were scary, Julio explained them with calm." Julio was proud of his role. He believed journalism carried responsibility. Not just to report facts, but to serve the community. He often reminded younger journalists that trust was earned one broadcast at a time. As the years passed, his face and voice became part of daily routine. Children grew up hearing him. Parents relied on him. Grandparents recognized him instantly. Few broadcasters achieved that level of connection. When news of his passing spread, tributes followed quickly. Fellow journalists, community leaders, and viewers shared their memories. Many thanked him for years of service. Others spoke about how safe his presence made them feel. A colleague shared in a statement, "Julio believed in calm truth. He taught us that journalism is about people, not just stories." The words reflected the values he lived by. Julio Rafael Pineda did not seek attention beyond his work. He let the news speak. He let facts stand. And he trusted his audience to listen. That quiet confidence defined his career. In later years, his role became symbolic. He represented stability in a changing media world. A reminder that clear, honest reporting still mattered. Especially to communities that depended on it. His passing leaves a space that cannot easily be filled. Not because of his title, but because of his trust. Trust built over decades. Trust given freely and carefully maintained. Today, his voice is remembered not just for what it said, but for how it said it. With calm. With dignity. With care for those listening. Julio Rafael Pineda's legacy lives on in the families he informed and comforted night after night. In the journalists he guided. And in the quiet confidence he gave to a community searching for clarity. He will be remembered as more than an anchor. He will be remembered as a steady voice that helped many feel at home. The news arrived quietly, carried through community posts and soft messages of disbelief. Shirley Raines, a woman known for walking the streets of Los Angeles with open hands and an open heart, was gone. For many, it felt less like a headline and more like a personal loss. The sidewalks of Skid Row, once familiar with her voice and presence, suddenly felt emptier. Shirley Raines was not famous in the traditional sense. She did not seek attention or praise. Yet to thousands of people experiencing homelessness, she was known, trusted, and deeply loved. She was the founder of Beauty to the Streets, a nonprofit built on a simple idea. Everyone deserves dignity, no matter where they sleep at night. Her work began with listening. Before the services, before the supplies, before the organization grew, there were conversations. Shirley sat beside people others walked past. She learned names. She heard stories. And she never rushed those moments. To her, presence was the first act of care. Beauty to the Streets became a lifeline for many. The group offered hygiene services, haircuts, showers, clothing, and basic medical care. But those who knew Shirley say what mattered most was how she made people feel. She did not treat homelessness as a problem to fix. She treated people as human beings to honor. Volunteers often spoke about her calm leadership. She did not command. She guided. She worked alongside others, never above them. In videos shared online, Shirley could be seen kneeling at eye level, smiling, and speaking gently. Those moments spread far beyond Los Angeles, inspiring people across the country. One volunteer later wrote, "Shirley didn't just serve the streets. She loved them. She showed us what real compassion looks like when no one is watching." The words echoed a feeling many shared but struggled to express. Shirley's approach was deeply personal. She believed dignity could be restored through small acts. Clean socks. Warm water. A mirror held steady during a haircut. She understood that these moments helped people remember who they were before hardship took hold. Her work was not without challenges. The streets are demanding, and the emotional weight was heavy. Yet Shirley returned day after day. Even when she was tired, even when resources were limited, she showed up. To her, consistency was respect. Over time, Beauty to the Streets gained recognition. Donations increased. Volunteers lined up to help. But Shirley remained focused on the same mission. She often reminded others that the work was not about saviors. It was about community. In one interview, she said, "We don't go out there to fix people. We go out there to remind them they matter." The sentence was simple. The meaning was deep. News of her passing spread quickly. Social media filled with messages of gratitude and grief. Former volunteers, supporters, and those she served shared memories. One post read, "She saw me when I felt invisible. I will never forget her kindness." Another said, "Because of Shirley, I believed in myself again." Local leaders also paid tribute. Community advocates described her as a bridge between worlds that rarely meet. A woman who brought humanity into spaces often ignored. Her name became synonymous with compassion rooted in action. Though Shirley Raines is no longer physically present, her impact continues. Beauty to the Streets carries on, guided by the values she lived every day. The volunteers she trained still walk the streets. The systems she built still serve. And the people she touched still remember. Her legacy is not measured in numbers alone. It lives in restored confidence. In quiet smiles. In moments when someone felt respected instead of rushed away. Shirley changed how service looks, shifting it from charity to connection. As the sun sets over Los Angeles, the streets she never abandoned hold her memory. In the footsteps she left behind. In the lives forever changed by her care. Shirley Raines will be remembered not for what she gave, but for how she gave it. With dignity. With presence. and with love that never looked away.